Hey fight fans, welcome back to the Fight Book. This is the Indian accent guy back with some interesting updates. Today we have positive updates from John Jones versus Tom Aspinall and Islam Makhachev versus Della Maddalena. Negative updates from Alex Pereira versus Magomed Ankalaev 2 and Nosha UFC. And moreover, we have 4 fight announcements in the UFC world. So without wasting any time, let's start the video. Let's start it from last night's UFC Vegas 107 event, which was supposed to headline by Erin Blanchfield versus Macy Barber, but Barber had to pull out just before her walkout, seconds before the fight, because Barber had a seizure right before her walkout. Blanchfield says that now she will not entertain a rescheduled bout with Macy Barber and will move on. Anyway, a positive news from the main event was that Erin Blanchfield did receive her both show and win money despite the cancellation of her main event. Anyway, in the co-headliner of the bout, number 7 ranked Mateusz Gamrot beat Ludwig Klein, breaking his 7-fight unbeaten streak via unanimous decision. He then says it's time to settle the feud versus Benoit Saint-Denis, who was offered Gamrot fight on short notice at UFC 315, but he did not accept that fight. Now Gamrot says that he wants to beat BSD Benoit Saint-Denis in front of his own people in France. He also says that BSD is not god of war, but a god of comfort zone. Anyway, second and the last ranked bout on the card was a women bantamweight bout where number 3 ranked bantamweight Kathleen Vieira came back into the win column after beating number 5 ranked Macy Shizan. If she had not missed her weight, she could be in the title contention, but now who knows what's next for her. Anyway, UFC Vegas 107 was not the only big event last night. In Moscow, Russia, there was ADXC 10, a grappling event where Arman Tsarukyan in the headlining bout beat Patricio Pitbull's brother Patricky Pitbull in their grappling fight. He submits Pitbull in the 5th round of the bout. Tsarukyan says that if the UFC offers him the opportunity to be the backup fighter for either Charles Oliveira versus Ilia Topuria or Max Holloway versus Dustin Poirier, he would be ready on short notice. And now let's talk about the 4 fights that are officially announced in the UFC. First, there are 2 bouts added on UFC Shanghai card on August 23rd, which is rumored to be headlined by Mingyang Yang versus Johnny Walker. First one is a light heavyweight bout where Dr. Nurgoze will fight Uran Setibaldiev. Both are 0-1 in the UFC and will be looking to get their first win. Second is a flyweight bout where undefeated flyweight prospect Loner Kavanagh will fight Charles Johnson. Kavanagh is 2-0 in the UFC, while Charles Johnson is coming off a loss to Ramazan Tamirov, which ended his 4-fight win streak. Next bout is added on UFC Vegas 109 card on August 9th, headlined by Anthony Hernandez versus Roman Dolidze. It is a women bantamweight bout where number 14 ranked Jocelyn Edwards is getting the opportunity to crack the top 10 with a 2-fight win streak, as she will be taking on number 8 ranked Mayra Bueno Silva, who is riding a 3-fight losing streak. Then the last one is a heavyweight bout between Walter Walker versus Kennedy Nzechukwu. Both fighters are riding a 2-fight win streak. This bout is added on UFC Nashville card July 12th, headlined by a heavyweight bout between Derek Lewis versus Tavishon Teixeira. Anyway, UFC heavyweight Derek Lewis says in a recent interview that he is tired of being called out by people in the heavyweight division and reveals that he is planning to stop this from happening.
Then there's a couple of guys calling me out, so I think what I need to start doing now, once I knock guys out, start putting my finger in their ass, so people won't want to call me out afterwards,
Now let's talk about UFC 320. UFC 320 was supposed to happen in Guadalajara, Mexico as Nosha UFC 3, but that event is now cancelled. September 13th show will now be a UFC fight night at Frostbank Center in San Antonio, Texas. This change was made due to the delayed construction on the arena in Guadalajara, and since that is now a fight night card, the PPV slot for the month of September is now open again. It was reported that if Jack Della Maddalena beats Bilal Muhammad, their Australia event in the end of 2025 will be a pay-per-view. Although that report was never confirmed, still if we assume that news was true, we may get Islam Makhachev versus Jack Della Maddalena in September in Sydney, Australia. Moreover, JDM also says in his recent interview that his fight against Islam Makhachev Makhachev will be held this year, so I won't be surprised if they fight in September in Sydney, Australia. Anyway, making No Show UFC a fight night event almost confirms that Volkanovski versus Jair Rodriguez rumors are not true, because UFC is not gonna put this fight in a fight night headliner. Anyway, Gene Silva also says that he has got a fight scheduled, and he also says that he had been asking for this fight for a long time. So if I remember correctly, he asked for Movsar Evloev in October, and he also mentioned Lopez recently, so that should be one of these two opponents. Anyway, now let's move towards John Jones versus Tom Aspinall, and finally we have something positive. John Jones says that Tom and he have agreed to wait for the UFC to make their announcements, so that's why he cannot talk about this fight. Dana White have already confidently confirmed that this fight is almost done and this will happen this year. So I think this will be the headliner of UFC 322 in November in MSG. Moreover, John Jones says his hatred for his rival Daniel Cormier brought out the worst in him. Next, we have a negative news from Magomed Ankalaev versus Alex Pereira 2. Ankalaev says in a recent tweet that he was offered to fight Alex Pereira in June, July and August, and he accepted every offer, but he thinks that Alex Pereira doesn't want this fight, so now he is moving on. Alex Pereira is yet to comment on Magomed Ankalaev's accusation, and he was busy in a meet and greet in Germany. But the UFC had to cancel that meet and greet in Germany due to overwhelming crowd. Both Pereira and Abus Magomedov were scheduled for a fan meet and greet, but things didn't go as planned. The event had to be cancelled because Pereira fans flooded the venue in huge numbers, making it unsafe to continue. Some random updates from the UFC. Israel Adesanya reveals that Dana White tried to convince him not to fight at UFC 293 against Sean Strickland, but he didn't listen to him. Then Max Holloway pointed out a guy wearing Ilia Topuria shorts, and he made him leave his seminar. Holloway is always in good sport in victory or defeat. And then there is a new antitrust lawsuit against the UFC. Dana White's cult of personality has convinced a lot of people that he's a great promoter. In reality, the UFC doesn't do much to market and promote fights anymore. They have reached the top and the goal is to remain there. The main reason that keeps the UFC at the top position in MMA are their exclusive contracts that prevent fighters from quitting and moving to other organizations. If someone manages to take this practice down, we will get a free market in MMA and the landscape would completely change overnight. This new antitrust lawsuit led by Phil Davis is trying to achieve that change. Do you think this will happen or not? Tell me in the comment section. And now, as you are again completely up to date with the fight world, do like the video before going and then do whatever you want.